this solenoid. Hey guys, ran into a problem. I'm going to talk about today the run fuel solenoid that you have on your solar turbines, and show you how to test them to find out if yours is working or not. What happened was during engine shutdown, we were getting smoke out of the exhaust, and then fuel would leak out of the purge valve. Not on this engine, obviously. It was on the helicycle, but I'll show you how to test that. Here's the same valve removed from the engine. It's not necessary to remove the valve from the engine to test it, but this one was bad, so we went ahead and removed it. The information, it's made by Valve Core Engineering, part number V5000-49. There's also a Solar part number on the side here, Solar part number 101046-1. However, I didn't find it via that. I found it via this V5000 part number. I contacted Valve Core Engineering, and they told me that there is no parts available. This is a disposable item. When it goes bad, you throw it away and replace it. There is some maintenance you could do on it. These connectors on the side, or plugs on the side, they call them adapters, are removable, and there's an O-ring in there. So if yours is leaking from the side here, it's most likely those O-rings have gone bad. That's about the only maintenance you could do on this item. I'll show you how to test it to see if it's bad. So here's that adapter removed, and you can see there's an O-ring right here on the end, and it is replaceable. You want to replace it with a one that's fuel safe, but that is basically the only thing you could do to repair these. What it is, it's a piston that moves up and down and shuts off that little tiny orifice there. Please do not remove these screws and remove this solenoid from this body. There's two little tiny pucks in there with a small little piston and a spring in the middle, and you will lose those parts. I guarantee it. They'll fly across the shop. They're almost impossible to put back in. There must be some kind of special tool to do that, but don't remove those parts. I removed them from this unit because this unit is bad already. It was not holding pressure, which I'll show you how to test here in a minute. But let me show you what those little tiny parts look like and how small they are. Okay, so here's the parts that came out of there. This is the piston that moves up and down inside of the solenoid, and you can see there's a little tiny hole there on the bottom of it, and that's where those two pucks go with the little tiny spring. This spring right here goes in the top of this like that, and that's what pushes that valve down into the closed position. And then when you activate it with your voltage here, 12 to 24 volts, it pulls this piston up and opens up that valve. But those little tiny pucks are extremely small. I'll show you those now. This is that little tiny puck, and you can see it. It's so hard to see. You can see how small it is. The spring is in there, but that compared to the valve, you can see how tiny they are. I'll show you here. Here's the tip of my finger, and that's how small those things are. And it is almost impossible to put this thing back together, so please don't take it apart. I'll show you how to test it, and you can do this while it's still on your engine to see whether it's good or not. So here's a different solenoid. This one happens to be good, and we're going to put a vacuum gauge on it and see if it holds pressure. This is the vacuum gauge that I use. It's a little hand pump, and I think it's available at any auto parts store, maybe possibly Harbor Freight or something. I've had this one for quite a while, so I don't remember where I got it. But if you take the end of the hose here and you stick it onto the either side of this valve and pump it up, it should hold pressure. And you can test it on both sides. It doesn't matter. This valve can go either way, but it should hold pressure, and I'll show you that now. Okay, we have the valve hooked up to the vacuum pump now, and I'll pump it, and you can see this one holds pressure, no problem, and this valve is good. I'll show you. I have a connector here, and I'll put the connector on and I'll activate the valve, and you'll see it release that pressure. Okay, what I have here is a Radio Shack 12 volt power supply that I have connected on this wire with a standard connector for here, and you'll see when I activate this power supply, it'll open up the valve and release the pressure. So here we go, and now, and there it is. You see the pressure get released with the switch on. I'll turn the switch back off. You can hear it click. So that's the way you test the run fuel solenoid. I hope this helps you guys out if you have a engine that smokes or purges fuel on shutdown. See you guys later.